Hello everyone. Today we are going to conduct a roundtable discussion regarding our topics: how to balance technology use and traditional teaching to avoid student over-reliance on applications. So before starting our discussion, I want to introduce our team members. Our team members consist of Izati, Mel, and including myself. Okay, now we are going to start our discussion. In this 21st century, an unprecedented era where technology thrive rapidly, emerging technologies has become one of the biggest trend in language teaching or in education area. Emerging technology such as artificial intelligence, AI, virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, gamification, mobile learning apps, and etc. has become part and parcel in our life. So as a consequence, these technologies has brought a paradigm shift in the way we learn language, or in the way we are in our way we want to learn a new language. So what the problem occurs when many students they tend to develop a habits where they dependent or over reliance on application to learn language, to get new knowledge. So guys, what do you think are the causes of this problem?
Okay, thank you, Yuhin, for the great introduction. So it is a really good thing that right now our country has given a chance to this technology education into learning. So when students rely too much on application or these AI tools, they tend to reduce their critical thinking skills because they often rely on the AIs. This causes them to think that everything would be spoon-fed to them. They would become lazy to think, and when they are given tasks on the spot, they tend to avoid it, where they would make excuses, they would run away from the task. So there are some apps such as translating apps where it could replace vocabularies or directly translate a language into a more familiar language to use. So in this case, I know it is a good thing to learn, but when you directly translate into another language, you tend to miss out on the vocabularies, the grammars, and you just uses the language that you prefer to. So it reduces the grammar awareness, the language usage, and this is also not a good thing because, in my opinion, technology is just a learning tool, and it's not a shortcut for a student to run away from the task, to reduce their skills of critical thinking. Hence, this is why students are recommended to work in group tasks, to have a conversation in class, to interact with teachers and students, because this can develop their critical thinking their critical thinking skills, their speaking skills on how they pronounce the word, and so on. So I think the problem right here is overusing them. But if we use them subtly and on the correct how to say, like, if we use it wisely, then it is a good thing. So what is your opinion on this?
Well, I do agree with you, because technologies, they have their own pros and cons. But when the students use too much and they over depend on AI or apps, they will become lazy. Like if they are relying on ChatGPT or Google Translate, they can't even form their own sentence if the teacher asks the students a question, a spontaneous question. Other than that, like using an app, they can't practice their speaking speaking skills because an app, they can't function like a human function. So their reply to what we ask might become they might sound robotic and like not very human. Next, when students depend too much on AI, they can also become panic if the teacher asks a spontaneous question or the teacher give out the task and the teacher said that do the task without using any AI or any apps, like using your own brain. So some students, they can't like think because for them the answer is in the ChatGPT and in the apps, so their mind will go blank. That's all from me. What do you think, Cor?
Well, I totally agree with you, Izati, because if you rely too much on AI to perform a task that require higher thinking skill, in the long run you might lose your own ability to think critically and think in depth. Because when you often use AI to finish your homework, in the long run, it will sort of form a habit where whenever you get a task that is hard or high difficulty level, you will tend to have this idea where you want to use the AI to finish it quickly instead of using your own brain to think. So it sort of hinder your own ability to think, because when you don't use your brain, it's like any other skill. If you don't use it or practice it regularly or on a regular basis or routinely, you will lose that skill. So our thinking skill is exactly the same. If you don't use it regularly, in the future you are going to lose your own ability to think critically and in depth. So your brain will kind of become your brain kind of slack off. It just doesn't work as hard as before you integrate AI in your learning system. Plus, I think the causes of this problem is that because these days teenagers they often chase instant satisfaction, right? Because if you use AI learning apps such as mobile learning apps, it integrate element which is called gamification, which is you see learning a new language as a game system. So when you are learning it, you will feel like fun, or it's more engageful, interesting, compared to the traditional way where you look at the textbook or you look at the dictionaries, to memorize the vocabularies. You just go over words by words, days by days, and then months by months. So somehow you will get bored of that traditional learning way. So you might want to find a new way to fit in your needs of satisfaction. So as a result, they switch to mobile learning apps, which is using the gamified apps to learn a new language.
Oh wait, Cor, I think we are on the same page because I think if they don't use their brain much, it will develop a poor speaking skills, because I think by using AI, you just type in your question into the chat box and then you wait for the AI to give you answer. Even if not AI, if you have an app for homework coaching, you still have to type in your question and wait for the maybe AI or bot to give you answers, right? So in this case, you will lack of speaking skills because you don't use your brain much. What will happen when you lack of critical thinking? So this will lead to brain fog, where your brain cannot think because it has frozen for a while. You don't use it that often, right? So this also decrease their understanding, their skill of comprehension. Sometimes even when we give out simple instructions, they tend to question it. Like, what do I do first? Because they don't know. They don't think much. Because usually when teachers give them homeworks, they would just wait for the AI to give them answer. So when it comes to this, like Izati said, this spontaneous situation or sudden situation, they don't know how to act. They just froze. So I think this will cause a big effect to the upcoming generation if people or students keep on relying on this artificial intelligence, and I think it's not a good thing. So there are also pros and cons regarding this artificial intelligence, this application, but that is another thing. So what do you think are the pros for these AIs?
Exactly well, because emerging technologies in language learning isn't always bad. It has its pros, but it also has its cons. So we need to sort of find a balance point between the we need to use it wisely. So we are using the technologies positively and not negatively. So first of all, let's talk about the pros of emerging technologies in language learning. So for me, I think the pros of emerging technologies in language learning is to make language learning much more fun and then much more interesting, engageful. Because like I said, if you compare this day study system to the traditional way of study back then, you just look at the textbook over and over. But now there are a lot of gamified apps, such as Duolingo. Duolingo is a very interesting apps because it integrates the leaderboard system where you can compete with other language learners. For example, if you complete a
Daily
task,
task,
yeah, if you complete a daily task, you get points and you get sort of like marks, and then you will become your names will become in the top of the leaderboards, and then it brings a sense of competence in the learner. So the learners will feel motivated because the sense of competence is what motivates the student to learn more about like the particular language they are learning. They want to learn more, they want to figure out more. It is also what pull the learners back to the apps the other day, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. What do you guys think about it?
Well, for me, well, the pros of using apps or AI, like as an example, quizzes. So they tend to, if we use quizzes to like make an activity, I think that's like a better way to engage the students to focus like in class, because I think the students tend to be excited if we make an activity using maybe technologies. And other than that, the pros for using technologies, like we come back to like asking teachers or ChatGPT. So if we ask ChatGPT, it will become more faster than we ask the teachers, right? And as an example, like if we have a question at 12 a.m. at night, if we want to ask the teachers, they are already asleep. They are already asleep, right? So we tend so from that we tend to ask ChatGPT because they have the 24/7 availability, and not to say they are fast in giving the answers and the feedbacks, and then they also like most of the answers are accurate, right? Don't you think, Mel?
Actually, I don't agree with the accuracy part because sometimes ChatGPT they answer according to database, which they don't really do research because they are AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial is already we call them as fake, and it's not something like we could rely much on. But I think that's a good point because for now we have various of different types of apps for learning, for revision. For example, just now quizzes, we also have word wall. Okay, so these apps, they are actually learning tools. As I said before, it's not a shortcut, it's a learning tools to help students, to help teachers. So as Court mentioned also, it could help into teachings, making teachings more engaging, more fun, which is much needed in this era because kids nowadays they prefer to play games rather than learning. So I think this is a good improvement and a good initiative to let the students, to let kids to be more interested in learning, especially into in learning language because I believe that most of the kids will think that learning language is something boring and not fun because you have a lot of things to understand, to learn from. So by these learning tools, maybe it could help them develop the interest into learning languages. So I think it is this application and AI are useful for revision, for maybe practice and self-paced learning, but not for helping into doing homeworks or completing their tasks. So I think that's a good usage of apps and AI. But on the other hand, there's also how do we say cons, which are the bad side of AIs and these technologies. So what do you think are those cons, Cor?
Well, I think one of the major cons of emerging technologies in language learning is that learners they might get addictive to using technologies to learn their language because, like I said, gamification provide instant provide a dopamine rush in the learner so that they will get excited instantly and feel satisfied instantly. So as a result, they might prefer to use the gamification to learn language. They might prefer this way to learn language, and then they might feel contemptuous about the traditional way of learning, which is we go like Izati said, we go to the teacher and then we ask the teacher question, and then we wait for the teacher to reply to us, and because the teacher might not be always be available. For example, like Izati said, during night the teachers they want to get some sleep, so they might not be able to reply to your message, reply to your question. So on the other hand, gamification or technology or mobile learning apps is way more better than the traditional way because it provides instant creative feedback. For example, if you ask like Izati said, if you ask the AI a question, it just give you the answer right away without like almost instantly it is almost considered as instantly feedback because if you ask the AI a question, it just generate the answer right away without needing much further time to think to generate the answer. So this way, the learners they might feel a sense of satisfaction or a sense of a sense of fulfillment because they can get the answer right away. Whenever they are curious about a question, they can get the answer right away. So they might be addictive to that feeling because when they compare it to the traditional way, because of the effect of contrast, they found that the using the technologies to learn language is way more better than the traditional way to learn language. So they might prefer to adapt these new emerging technologies in language learning than the old traditional way of learning language, which is referring to the textbooks, dictionaries, etc. What do you guys think?
Well, from what Cor said, that when the students get the answer like fast, the satisfaction feelings, they think that it's their answer, but actually it's not, and actually it makes them like addictive, and because they get the answer instant without thinking. I don't know why they get that satisfaction feeling, and I don't know why they are too depend on AI. Maybe because they are too scared for their own answer to become wrong, and from sorry. I think that the cons for using AI too much, they can also make the students lack of human judgment, because as I give an example earlier, where they want to practice their speaking skills, right? The AI give the answer too robotic, and if they ask like a question where
What question?
a question about emotion.
Oh,
Emotive question.
no. Emotional question.
If they ask a question where they want to identify what kind of emotion they are feeling, but AI can't interpret that feeling, so they will answer it like common, generally, not too deeply, because they don't have that emotion feelings. How to pass it to you? I think that's all from me. So what do you think, Mel?
Thank you, Izzati. I think both of you have stated good points. I strongly agree with both of you. So I think in order to use this application or artificial intelligence, you have to it requires you to have a gadget. So without gadget, you cannot use these features. So not all people have the access to gadgets, right? Some people, maybe they have difficulties. So when this happens, I think it is not a good thing, because not every school can support into using into every student using gadgets in classroom. Besides, by using gadgets too, it could harm those kids, could harm these students, because as Cora have said just now, it could make them addictive, not by learning using the gadget. They might use it for another purpose. So it is better to avoid than prevent it from happening, right? So another thing is, I think
I totally agree with you, Mel. Because what's the biggest disadvantage of emerging technology, which is the students, they are more richer, they are rich, they will continue to get smarter. And then people they are poor, or they don't have the financial ability to afford the gadgets, they will become worse in their academic performance, because technology acts as a partition that separates the poor student and the rich students. Because like Mel said, the rich students, they can get access to whatever technology they want. Computer, laptops, iPads, tabs, phones, they can just get it because they have the financial ability to get those things. But on the other hand, for people that are poor or lack the financial ability to afford these things, they cannot follow the education system, because these days education systems incorporate a lot of apps in the education system, such as Google Meet, Google Classroom. So if the students weren't able to have the gadgets, or much worse, they don't have the internet access or Wi-Fi access, then they don't get to follow the class conducted by the teacher on Google Meet or Google Classroom. So as a result, they will be left behind academically, while the rich students continue to thrive in academic performance.
Thank you for lending me a hand, Cor. So yes, I do agree that it will affect their results, especially in examination, because they are used to giving prompt to these AIs, and they forget how to think, how to apply the skills into exam. So it will make their grades bad, right? Yes. Okay. So moving on. Okay, we are done with the pros and cons. So I think with these issues, we have to find solutions in order to we will have solutions to prevent this AI's addiction, this AI's overpowering traditional teaching. So what are the solutions? What do you think?
Yes, exactly, Mel. Because in this digital era, technology has become an important part in our life. We cannot live without technology, such as WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp to communicate with other people, right? And then we use GPS when we want to move from one point to another destination. So technology is like become a part of parcel of our life. So, but there are also in our life, when we use technology, there are also cons and pros and cons. So the thing is, we need to find solutions to counter these cons, so that we focus more on the pros instead of the cons, so that we can utilize the technology in a more positive way. So first of all, what is the solution to over-reliance in, for example, first of all, what is the solution for this issue, which is students become highly dependent on language learning apps? Well, for me, I think parents do play an important role in their kids, because parents, they can control, they can monitor their kids, the usage of the gadgets, like how long have they been using their phone, or how long have they been using their laptop, so that it can find a balance point within. They don't get left out between what is happening outside the world, instead of just sitting in front of the desk looking at the laptops. So because when parents get involved, the students might listen to their parents, because most of the students, they respect their parents, so they value their parents' opinion. So I think the voice of parent is pretty crucial in this, to counter this issue. That's all from me.
I do agree with Cor. For me, parents play a big role in discipline their kids whether they can play the gadget or not, because when they start playing it without anyone monitoring them, they don't know when to stop, and so sudden they will like sleep late night because they are watching TikToks or YouTubes or playing games. Other than that, as a teacher, you can also like do blended learning, where meaning at first you're focusing on the traditional way, where you don't use any of the apps or the gadgets. You just like catch the attention of the students using your own ways, and then half of the time you can start using gadgets by if you want them to like search for information or picture, for them to just imagine it, and then you and then
Move forward.
and then you can move forward and tell them to stop.
Okay, so I think Kor and Izati has conveyed a lot on parents' responsibilities into preventing this addiction. What this
The students over-reliance on
this over-reliance on language learning app. So what are the responsibilities for teachers or in school? So I think that it is important for teachers to emphasize this traditional teaching in classroom, because with this, student will get used to this traditional teaching and they won't rely too much on apps. Okay, so it will make it as a habit for them, which when they have any question to ask, when they are confused with anything, they would go ahead and ask their teachers, and not go and ask the learning app or AIs. So in my opinion, real classroom interaction between students and teachers will not be the same with these technologies or application. It cannot be replaced. And to add on, traditional teaching, it builds characteristics. Teachers give love to students, but these apps, these AIs, they couldn't do the same thing to students. So it is really important for them to know how important it is to learn traditionally in class, even though the technology is getting advanced day by day. But it is still important for teacher to have this traditional teaching in classroom. So yeah.
May I add on?
Sure.
For also about, I think that teachers need to like give reassurance toward their students, because I think that maybe the cause of why they are being too rely on AI, because they are scared of being
In the wrong.
in the wrong. Like if the teachers ask the students a question, they are too scared to answer it, because maybe they are overthinking, like, what if I answer it wrong? Will she get mad at me, or will she punish me? So I think that the teachers can say that maybe it's okay to be wrong, like give them the reassurance to use their own sentence or their own idea to answer the questions, and like tell them that it's okay for them to answer the question wrong. I think that's all for me. What about you, Cole?
I totally agree with Mel. I think she highlights some good point there, which is some people they argue that technologies is going to replace teachers, but for me I don't think so, because like Mel said, technology such as artificial intelligence (AI) lacks of empathy. For example, if you ask the AI a question, it's not going to be the same if you ask a real teacher or which is human. The answers given by the teacher is much more. There's an emotion in it. If you compare it to AI, it just give you facts or knowledge without the emotion in it. So you might feel like exactly you are talking to a robot, right? Because it's AI, artificial. So why there are some people they have this notion that teacher is going to be replaced by AI is that because some teacher they do not integrate AI, do not integrate technologies in their lesson planning. They just use the technologies to conduct their lessons fully, and then they just sit at the back or sit at the corner and then slack off. So I think that's the reason that most people have this idea come down, which is teacher is going to be replaced by AI. So in order to counter this, the best solution is for the teacher to find a balance point between using the technology in lesson plan and also using their own voice as well, using their own idea, integrate their own idea as well into their own lesson plans. For example, teachers can blend technologies in their lesson plans, such as using quizzes or such as introducing quizzes in the classroom to the students. It will be more like after the teacher like give an introduction about the topics they are going to learn today, and then the teacher can introduce the quizzes platform to the students to act as a reinforcements about what they had learned just now. So I think this is the most effective way so to ensure that teacher will not get replaced by AI in the future or in the long run.
Okay, both of you have a really solid and strong points. I really love that. So it is not wrong to use AI in teaching or learning, but the thing is you have to know how to balance it out. So maybe teacher can use this method where when teaching use traditional way, but when practicing or when doing revision, teachers can use technology to help into teaching, like into making teaching aids or play some games in the class to make the classroom more engaging. So technology sure is powerful, but without teachers, I think students will lose their essential skills. You guys agree?
Yes.
So do you have any conclusion to make, Cor?
Well, so in light of all these, in the light of all these points we have made, we were able to come to the conclusion that technology is just a tool. It's not going to replace the teacher in the future, but it depends on how we use the technology itself. If we use the technology wisely, then we are not going to be replaced by the technology. But if we don't use the technology wisely or in a smart approach, then we are going to be replaced by AI. Because what's the difference between AI and human? It's actually the same. The difference is just that the AI it is able to perform a calculation faster than human. For example, because AI is generate an answer based on database, right, which is provided by the human. For example, if you give an AI a textbook to its database, then you also memorize the whole textbooks. And then you compete with the AI. The AI is going to win because it can generate the answer faster based on its database. But well, on the other hand, human we have shortage. We have disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
We have disadvantage because we cannot think at a pace that are on par with AI.
Yeah.
So
Well, for me, using AI is okay, but it is not okay for you to be over dependent on AI, because if we become too over dependent, it can consume
Ability to think.
our ability to think. So I think that we need to have a limited time, or like before we ask AI to do something for us, maybe we can like think for a way, think our own way first before we making sure with AI. And um,
Yes, exactly. Mindful usage of the technology is crucial if you don't want to be replaced by AI.
Yes. So yes, I think it is important for us grown-ups to control what the kids receive, because we are the one who shape them, so that they won't over-rely on this AI and application. So other than that, I think it is important for teachers and parents to set a boundaries on when to use app, and when it is the right the correct, no, the perfect time to use traditional teaching. So by setting boundaries, they would know, okay, maybe when I am doing this task, I have to think, but when I needed help, I can ask these apps, because it really does make things easier for us human. But the thing is, we don't over rely on them. So other than that, teachers also can assign some tasks for the kids or students, uh, tasks that they have to solve right on the spot, and not and to not give them chances for them to use these technologies. So for example, teachers can assign group works in class, problem solving. This can really help them into developing their critical thinking skills, into making them solve the problem right on the spot. So I think that is all from for our discussion on over relying on application and AIs. Anything to add on? Do you have anything to add?
Well, to revise my idea, is mindful usage of technology is crucial. So, mindful usage, because if you don't be mindful about the usage of technology, you might you might get addictive to it. So that's all from us.
Yes, it is not wrong. Yeah, I think it is not wrong to use AI, but we have to know when to stop, so that it don't overpower us. We don't want AI to take over the world, right?
so you can say like balance.
Yes, especially us in the education fields, right? So I think that is all from our discussion. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.